Hey everyone, it's Mike with 30A. A few weeks ago, you might remember that Angela and I were packing for a 6-week trip through Southeast Asia. We love to travel. As you guys know, we love the beach and we also love lifestyle design, kind of learning how to travel abroad on a budget. And it's something that we've done with our kids. It's something that now that we're empty nesters, we're getting to do by ourselves. We have 4 children, all grown up, and all of them are out of the house now. So this is really the first trip that Angela and I have taken together as just a couple. And we also started this trip with 2 other couples, Louis and Casey Petit, who own Louis Restaurant in Santa Rosa Beach, and also Tony and Marisol Gullo. Marisol is Visit South Walton's Artist of the Year in 2017, and they own Not Too Shabby by Marisol, which is a boutique in Santa Rosa Beach, in Miramar Beach. So we are super excited to be here in Vietnam today. We're about halfway through our trip. We've been to Thailand, Cambodia, Hong Kong in China, and now we're in Vietnam, and then we have Laos left to go, and then we will wrap up in Thailand later. So we have some questions, but that said, this is a live broadcast, and I want you guys to be able to ask questions about travel, about the beaches we've seen so far, about how to stay on a budget, about how to plan a trip like this. Please type your questions and we'll answer them as best we can. That said, we already have some questions from a previous post about this, and I wanted to take a couple minutes to answer some of them. Let's see, we have Troy Patty Adams Henson. She said, when I read this, all I could think about was Da Nang Air Force Base and all of the airstrikes and sorties that were coming out of here during the Vietnam War. And she said, wow, times sure have changed for the better. Yeah, I mean, you know, we've been in Ho Chi Minh City in the south, and now we're in Da Nang. Also, we were in Hoi An. So we've only been in southern part of Vietnam. We're getting ready to go to Hanoi in the north and to Ha Long Bay. But I will tell you, the people have been just incredibly friendly. You know, the Vietnam War, of course, ended in 1975. For a lot of Americans, it doesn't seem like that long ago, but that's nearly 50 years. So I would say that while there's still probably remnants of the war here, it's certainly not anything we've experienced other than our friends went and they visited the Cu Chi tunnels down near Ho Chi Minh City, and they said that was quite an experience. We did not get out there. We've been to Hoi An though. We've also been to Da Nang now. From this point forward, we'll be in northern Vietnam, and so we'll probably try to check back in a little bit later with that. But the people here have been unbelievably friendly. Daniel Campos asked, what is the currency exchange rate to the US? Right now, it is about, I want to say, 22,000 dong to the dollar. So what does that mean? So when you're spending, when you spend 100,000 dong, that is about $4.40. So we found things to be incredibly cheap here. So for example, yesterday, my wife and I sent out about a week's worth of laundry. The bill was $2.40 to have that laundry done. Hotels are very cheap. You can get draft beer, local beer, great beer for 50 cents. During happy hour, it's even cheaper than that, 20 cents, 25 cents. Meals can be had for very cheap, but it's also very cosmopolitan. So you can find very high-end sky bars and martini bars and great restaurants with high-end cuisine. So it doesn't have to be. Do you have a question?
Yeah, Todd Campbell wants to know how much does a beer cost?
So I just answered that, Todd. But a beer, like I said, a really good local beer, 50, 60 cents in a typical place. If you're in a fancy hotel, maybe 80 cents. But happy hour specials, we've seen it for as little as 4,000 dong, which is like 18 cents. So it's crazy. Cocktails are a few dollars. Jack Daniels, on the rocks or something like that, it's going to cost you about $4 or $5. But again, it depends on where you are. You can be in a pretty swanky bar on a rooftop, and it can cost you $6 or $8 or even $10. So
wine seems to be a little bit more expensive.
True. So we had some other questions. Judy Spatel asks, is the food safe? What about the water? Honestly, we haven't given it any thought. We've been in Thailand, in Cambodia, Hong Kong, now Vietnam, and we'll be in Laos. And we've been here before, not to Vietnam, but we've been to Southeast Asia before. The food is incredible, especially in Thailand. We found the food just unbelievable. We love it there. We have not had any concerns with the water. That's not to say, all drinking sources are safe, but that's true in America as well. So we haven't taken any special precautions. We did bring Cipro prescription medicine just in case one of us got a stomach bug, but we have not needed it at all. So we've been gone now about 3.5 weeks, and knock on wood so far, everything's been great.
We are drinking bottled water.
We are drinking bottled water, but that said, when you're in a restaurant, you don't know if their ice is coming from, filtered water or not. So we haven't had any issues and haven't really taken any special precautions.
Mary Fuquay wants to know what was the most unusual food you ate. I'll let you field that one.
Yeah. So while we were in Cambodia, we were in Siem Reap, which is near Angkor Wat, the famous ancient temples. And I was with Louis Petit, who owns Louis Restaurant, and Tony Gullo, who co-owns Not Too Shabby in Miramar Beach. And we saw this vendor selling all of sorts of exotic, bizarre creatures, scorpions, water snakes, tarantulas, and a few other unspeakable things. And on a dare, we ate it. And actually, it wasn't just for tourists. Actually, that was for tourists. But we have seen them in markets. And what happened, unfortunately, in Cambodia during the 1970s, the atrocity of the killing fields, which you may or may not have heard about, but literally 1/3 of the population was wiped out by the Khmer Rouge regime, Pol Pot. And because they were literally kept on the brink of starvation, they had to eat anything and everything. And they actually developed an appetite or an appreciation for some things that are quite strange to us. So we did see things like that in the typical market. And I have to tell you, the scorpion, I ate the scorpion. The claws and all that stuff, actually pretty good. Wasn't too crazy about the middle part. So that said, it was surprisingly edible. And that said, I won't be having it again anytime soon. So.
Catherine Croak wants to know about visas.
So visas, Catherine Croak wants to know about visas. Did we had to have a visa
I
in?
can probably answer that.
Yeah, do you want to answer that?
Yeah. So in Thailand, you don't need one when you arrive for U.S. citizens. Hong Kong, you don't need them. Most of them we have been able to get on arrival. However, we did need a tourist letter for Vietnam. That was super easy to get just from a Vietnamese travel agent. Cost us $12 to get that. So, and then $25 for the visa. We did need US dollars for those, but super easy to get.
Okay, guys, so keep the questions coming in. Shirley Field says, I wouldn't go to Vietnam. My husband was there, and I'm sure that there's a lot of Americans, who might have reservations. But, Angela's dad, for example, was on a tour here twice during the Vietnam War. And, an important thing to keep in mind is that was almost 50 years ago. It actually ended almost 50 years ago. It started in 1955, which is 70 years ago. Ended in 1975. So most of the people here weren't even born, when a lot of that was going on. And I will tell you, it's a very vibrant, a very friendly, a very contemporary and modern place. Also keep in mind that in Ho Chi Minh and Da Nang, where we were, this was actually where we were based. We were allies with the Southern Vietnamese. And so, very friendly, very hospitable, a lot of young people. And it feels like there's a an energy here that's there are things happening in Southeast Asia. I will tell you that we've never been in a more friendly place than when we were in Thailand and Cambodia. And Hong Kong is probably the most modern and expensive, I should add, city in the world. Really haven't seen anything in America that comes close to Hong Kong in terms of affluence. We got out of there pretty quick because even though it is friendly, we're trying to do this trip on a budget. So we do want to share some travel budget tips with you. That said, if you have any more questions, please keep them coming in. We're live and we're here to help answer questions. We actually wanted to do this broadcast out on the beach because we're staying directly on the beach, but the glare is too bad. So we have some pictures that we'll share with you guys in the comments below and some video. And it is a really beautiful vista and very affordable, by the way. Do we have any other questions, Ange?
We do. We've got some questions about vaccines and tour guides.
Okay, so we've met some really great tour guides. If you have a specific place that you're going to, for example, I can recommend a very specific tour guide in Siem Reap, Cambodia. We've met here. I wouldn't say we haven't really taken a tour in Da Nang yet. We've been just kind of making it up as we go. And actually, this has been a little bit more of a beach stop for us. So we've been spending time on the beach, but also just kind of touring around and enjoying the food. I will say this, the room we're staying in right now is a suite, and it is, it's got a bunk room, but also a kitchen. It's got a master suite area, and it not only comes with an incredible complimentary breakfast every day. I mean, like a la carte, it's not just a buffet. I mean, you pick what you want off the menu and as much as you want. But it also comes with every single day a 45-minute foot massage per person. So Angela and I every day have enjoyed a 45-minute foot massage as part of our room fee here. So again, Southeast Asia is a very affordable place if you're looking for a budget vacation.
And Mary Fuquay wants to know if we feel safe.
I can promise you that on this entire trip, there's not been a single moment that I've felt even remotely unsafe. I've been to 45 countries with Angela around the world, and I can tell you that there are some places that I've not felt safe. This trip, we've been gone for 3.5 weeks. There hasn't been so much as an ounce of discomfort, not so much as an ounce of tension, not even a moment where I'm thinking, you know, I really don't need to be on this street. In fact, just the opposite, the friendliest people we've had the pleasure of meeting. So I can tell you it is a very safe place. Let's see. I see Casey is watching. Casey Petit is watching. She was with us for the first half of our journey for 3 weeks, and they just got home yesterday, I think. So Casey, hope you made it back. Hope the jet lag isn't too bad, and we look forward to seeing you back in Santa Rosa Beach soon.
Rick Moore would like to know what our budget is and how we planned it out, maybe detail out the plan for individuals.
So that's a great question, Rick. Our budget has generally been $150 a day, okay? So that includes, what happened, Ange? Did we lose something? That includes, we budgeted about $50 for accommodations. I want to say we budgeted about $25 combined per couple for lunch, and maybe $35 for dinner, and then the rest for activities. So to give you an example, we've stayed in rooms as cheap as $35 a night, and actually that was one of the largest rooms we had. That was in Hoi An, Vietnam. We've spent as much as $70 a night for a room. Angela, where was that? $70 would have been in Siem Reap. But we really went all out in Cambodia. We had a very beautiful hotel with a beautiful infinity pool and all sorts of amenities. On average, though, I think we've done the $50 a night. And then breakfast is always included. Okay, they're in every hotel we've been in anyway. Breakfast is included, and most of the times airport transfer has been included. So they pick you up at the airport, they take you back to the airport when you're ready to go. Taxis in general are incredibly cheap. $1, $2, $3 at the most to go anywhere you want in the city, depending on which city, of course, Hong Kong being an exception to all of this. But tuk-tuks in Thailand and Cambodia, you're not going to pay more than $1 or $2. Activities, you know, temples, the entrance fee for a lot of temples is very nominal. We did some ATVing, which cost, I think, how much was that? $60?
Yeah,
something like that. That was a splurge. We've hired tour guides. Sometimes, like yesterday, Angela and I took a tour up into what they call Monkey Mountain here in Da Nang, and I think that was about $20 for a few hours. And then we've had a tour guide, an all-day tour guide that cost $50 in Siem Reap. So really, overall, it can be done a lot cheaper than that. We've been splurging. We've been enjoying eating out literally every meal. Certainly not holding back in terms of the beer or the alcohol or the wine. So it can be done for a lot cheaper than that, depending on you know, what your tolerance is. All right. Any other questions? All right. Let's see. Casey says, "Hi, Mike and Angela. Plus, I made a pen pal. Can't wait to see y'all and hear about the rest of the trip." Thanks, Casey.
Love you, Casey.
We love you guys. And I will say that we traveled with these two other couples for 3 weeks, and just to have the shared experience and to have that sort of memory that we're going to be able to share from now on is just invaluable. So I highly recommend traveling with other couples, but also we brought our kids here years ago, about 8 years ago. We went to Burma, Myanmar. We went to Thailand, and we went to Cambodia with 2 of our children, and they loved every minute of it. And they love children over here too. So if you've ever thought about doing that, don't hesitate. Let's see what else we've got. How is the language barrier? Jean Brown wants to know, how is the language barrier? Do you need an interpreter? Not at all. I mean, it's almost embarrassing how easy English-speaking people have it. Virtually everywhere we've gone, it's been, you know, totally open arms, very easy to communicate with. Most of the signs, the menus, you name it. Occasionally you jump in a taxi and, you know, have to show them an address or something like that. But for the most part, if you know English, you're going to be able to get by. And that's a luxury that I think Westerners enjoy that the rest of the world doesn't get to appreciate as much. And it makes it a little bit almost too easy. But there is a great free app called Google Translate. You can put it on your phone. You can type anything, and even offline, and it will translate it for you. You can show them a picture. It will even pronounce it for you. So if there ever is something you want to order specifically in a restaurant, maybe you're a vegetarian or gluten-free, you can type it in and it will translate it for you. Pretty amazing stuff. I'll also say that Angela and I traveled with only 1 carry-on bag each. So we're not checking any luggage. We're just carrying a small pack for 6 weeks. And we also we don't have an international calling plan. So we've been probably, much to my chagrin, we've been without Wi-Fi for maybe all of 15 minutes this whole trip. You know, every restaurant, every hotel, every public space has free Wi-Fi. So when you have Wi-Fi, you can communicate on your phone, whether that's through email or FaceTime or instant message or Skype. We've had 0 problems communicating with our friends and family back home. We call our kids almost every day, and we are obviously able to do things like this as well without a SIM card whatsoever. That said, you can buy a $7 SIM card for your phone in virtually any airport when you land, and that $7 it gets you 2 weeks of unlimited internet usage on your phone. It's unbelievable. $7, they'll pop a SIM card in for you, and then your phone will work anywhere in that country for 2 weeks, unlimited internet. So, good travel tip. Let's see. Tammy Perrin says, I love Thai food. What was your favorite dish? Tammy, that's a great question. I will tell you the food in Thailand we didn't eat a bad meal. I think all of our friends agree that it's just every single meal we had was amazing. We also took a cooking class in Chiang Mai. The 6 of us went to Pantawan cooking school in Chiang Mai. They took us to the market and let us see how the ingredients are chosen, let us pick out everything we needed for our meal. Then we went back and we cooked 4 different dishes. But I will tell you that the dish that's my personal favorite, and I think Angela's too, is khao soi. Khao soi is a soup, okay, but it's what is it? Kind of a curry, coconut curry based. And it's just delicious. And it's really something that's kind of hard to find outside of northern Thailand because of some of the ingredients they use. But if you're ever in Thailand, ask for khao soi. But even specifically, you kind of have to go to northern Thailand to find it. Jean Brown says, do you recommend seniors take this trip? Jean, I will tell you that my parents are seniors, and you know, it depends on your mobility, I would say. But that said, my mother came to visit us. We were living in the Czech Republic a few years ago, and my mother came to visit. And I thought she would have problems on the cobblestone streets and at the train stations and stuff. And even though she's got bad knees, she was able to do it very well. I will tell you that Thailand, I think you could absolutely do. You know, it just depends on your own mobility back home, but everything has been very accommodating. There may be some places that have handicap access issues because they certainly don't have the same codes that we do. But I would say overall, anyone can do Thailand. And in fact, I think you'll find yourself richer because of doing it. I think if you get to Cambodia and you're specifically going for Angkor Wat, the temples could be challenging because the temples obviously, you know, a millennium.
But that said, we saw tons of seniors.
Absolutely, and there are tour groups. So I suggest if you are concerned about it, you consider joining a tour group that has other seniors. They'll know where you can go and where you can't. But I highly recommend this trip to anyone. Absolutely anyone.
Any tips for cheaper airfare?
So we got our airfare about, what, 9 months in advance, Angela? Mm-hmm. And what's the website we watched?
One Travel, I think.
So there's numerous websites, obviously, but we put an alert on from Atlanta to Bangkok. And we ended up, or not just Atlanta, but anywhere to Bangkok. And we ended up finding a flight for $890 to Bangkok from, I believe, Houston or Atlanta. Then we decided to add a few $100s. So it added about $300 to fly from Destin, Fort Walton, Valparaiso. So for about $1,200, we're flying round trip from our local airport on the coast to Houston, then to Tokyo, then to Bangkok. And it was, you know, look, I'm not gonna lie, it's a long flight over. If you can break it up, even better. That said, we did fine. Everybody in our group did fine. And for $1,200 round trip, I think that's pretty good. If you see it for any less than that, you know, get it, because it's not gonna get much cheaper. But if you're in a major city like Atlanta or Houston, you should be able to get it for $800 or $900 if you plan far enough in advance. All right, let's see. KC says, I love the tip of you guys picking an aisle seat and the window seat just in case the seat in between is not occupied. So here's a tip. So what Angela came up with this idea. Whenever we're booking our flights and reserving our seats, she'll pick her seat as the window seat and my seat as the aisle seat, and leaving a single seat between us. Now, the reason that's important is because other people are also picking their seats online. Nobody's gonna pick that middle seat unless they're absolutely forced to. That will be the last seat that anybody wants to pick, is sitting between 2 other people. So in one of our long flights, I think it was from Tokyo to Bangkok? No,
it was from Houston to Bangkok.
Okay, so from Houston to Tokyo, which was a 15-hour flight, we ended up with no one sitting between us. So we had extra room. It was really nice to be able to spread out. So that's just a little travel tip, is when you're picking your seats, don't necessarily pick two together, because the idea is if somebody does pick that seat, you know they'll be willing to switch with you for either the window or the aisle. Even if you want to, they'll be willing to switch with you because, of course, they would probably prefer to be on the window or the aisle. So just another little travel tip. Let's see. Anyone else have any questions? Let's see. Let's see. Christopher Fabian says, last time I was in Thailand, I walked the street shops in Bangkok, got knockoff golf shirts for $1. The best deep massages for $7, full course meals, 2 beers, $11 total. Haven't been back to Nam since the early 70s. Enjoy. Chris is in North Georgia and is a 30A regular. Chris, we agree with you. I mean, the massages in Thailand, it's ridiculous. It's like you can find them for as cheap as $3, but $6 is kind of a going price, I would say, for just walking in off the street and getting an hour-long foot massage. That became part of our group's daily ritual. I mean, every single day we would end up one afternoon after lunch, after exploring some temples, we would end up just getting a foot massage or a full body massage. That said, in Vietnam, it's a little more expensive. Our massage every day comes included with our room, but most of the massages we're seeing here are $12 to $15 for an hour.
Which is still by American standards, is
still ridiculous.
So cheap.
Still ridiculous. But the beer here is very cheap, and the food is very cheap. And like I said, a week's worth of laundry for $2.64 yesterday. Crazy. And by the way, they didn't just do the laundry. They picked the laundry up at our hotel, and about 5 hours later, delivered the laundry back to our hotel for $2.60. Crazy. All right, what else we got? Let's see. We have, I think I've answered most. So Carol York is asking, what is the cost of lodging in a decent place? All right, so in Thailand, we found a place called Alt Hotel, A-L-T Hotel. It was about $55 a night, if I'm not mistaken, Angela. It included breakfast, and it was walking distance to a lot of restaurants, etc. Transportation is incredibly cheap. In Chiang Mai, how much did we spend? $60, $65?
Chiang Mai was $65, yeah.
At a place called Bed Phra Sing. And I will tell you, the breakfast there was amazing. And the service. I mean, every time we turned around, they're just, do you want a beer? Do you want water? Just for free, right? It was a more modern hotel, but a little smaller. And again, we're not staying in posh places, but we're certainly staying in very clean, friendly, and accommodating places. In Cambodia, we splurged. We were up to about $70 a night. And that was a pretty nice place. Again, kind of an a la carte breakfast.
We only splurged because I got such a good deal on that particular hotel.
Angela uses agoda.com, AGODA.com. Agoda.com is fantastic for finding deals on hotels. So what we would typically do, Angela's really the mastermind behind all this, but we would look for deals. And as soon as one came up that looked like, okay, normally this room is $160, today it's $70, we would go on TripAdvisor and see the reviews, really check out to make sure it got lots of positive reviews. Also check to make sure it was within walking distance or certainly close proximity to where we wanted to be in the city. In Hoi An, Vietnam, we spent $35 a night and had a huge room. Again, breakfast included, a beautiful pool and gardens, walking distance to the old town center. Here we're spending a little bit more, but it's because we're spending $107 a night here, but we're kind of not spending it because we used our points on our credit card for these 3 nights that we're here in Da Nang. So again, an incredibly nice room, not within our budget, but it is kind of within our budget because we used credit card points to pay for the room here. But still, for $107, we literally are looking straight at the water. We're on the 18th floor. hour-long massage included every day. It's basically a suite with a kitchen and an incredible breakfast every morning on the 23rd floor rooftop bar. So again, pretty good deal, even though it's out of our typical budget. Let's see. So Jean Brown is asking, do they have a medical clinic or hospital if you get sick? Absolutely. I will say that we have, fortunately, knock on wood, have not had to use any of the hospitals or anything like that, but we have had to in situations in the past. We were in Morocco a few years ago and actually had to visit an emergency room due to an accident, and found the services to be not only world-class but affordable. Certainly in Bangkok, certainly in Hong Kong, certainly in the major cities, you're going to have absolutely every type of healthcare that you would have in any American city. So I can also recommend, though, that if you are concerned, a great insurance policy to get is called MedJet. MedJet can be had for a family for $400 a year. MedJet will basically, if you are hospitalized for any reason, MedJet will fly and pick you up on an ambulance plane staffed with healthcare professionals and bring you back to the hospital of your choosing in America. So it's a great, for $400, it's a great kind of insurance policy that, God forbid, you are in an automobile accident, God forbid you do slip and fall and hurt yourself, or just get sick and you're hospitalized for any reason, no questions asked. They will send a medical jet to pick you up wherever you are and bring you back to the hospital of your choosing in the United States. So I think you can go to medjet.com. They're based out of Birmingham, Alabama. It's a great company. Let's see. Casey reminded me of another tip about safety. She said that if you don't see women or children on a certain street, then you know you're probably not in a safe area. Now, I will say this. Number one, I got this tip from Dan Bailey, who owns Amavita Coffee in South Walton. But we haven't had to apply it here in Southeast Asia. But the tip is generally this. If you're in a neighborhood anywhere in the world and you only see men, it might not be a good neighborhood, or it might not be a safe area to be. The thinking is that, generally speaking, moms, it's a universal nature for us to protect our children. It's something we all share. We're not going to let our children walk around in an unsafe neighborhood. So if you find yourself feeling unsafe and you look around and there are only men, you probably need to pick up and move neighborhoods. But if there's women and children around, mothers are not going to let their own children walk around in dangerous neighborhoods. And I know this is a generalization, but it is just an interesting little barometer to kind of keep your eye on. But I want to emphasize, we've already been here 3.5 weeks. We still have 3 weeks to go. Never once have any of us felt even the remotest sense of uncertainty or lacked any sort of concerns about our safety. We've always felt nothing but welcome. And in fact, people have gone out of their way to be hospitable and welcoming to us. Let's see. We got anyone else? So while we're waiting, we're live from Da Nang, Vietnam. We are halfway through a 6-week trek through Southeast Asia. We're trying to share some budget tips, travel tips, not just about Southeast Asia, but about anywhere. As you guys know, we love the beach. That's what one thing all 30A fans share in common. And we're at a beautiful beach. And here, as we wrap up in a couple minutes, I'll ask Angela to walk over to the window and kind of show you what the beach looks like, the glare maybe. That's the reason I don't have the beach behind me today, is because the glare was too bad to read your comments. But also, when we went outside to test it earlier, the noise was a little too loud, just the wind and sunshine. So that said, we're doing it in our suite, but in a minute, we'll show you what the beaches look like from up here. All right, any last questions before we go? So if you're looking to do a trip like this, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to share our tips. But that said, I recommend you book 6 to 9 months in advance your airfare. The most important thing I think you can do is pick a destination that's going to be affordable, right? As much as I love Paris, as much as I love Vienna, as much as you might love London, those are expensive destinations. Southeast Asia is incredibly affordable. There are certain places in Central and Southern America that are affordable. But if you want the European thing, I can highly recommend Spain and Portugal. Very affordable destinations, very European if Southeast Asia isn't your thing. I will tell you though that it doesn't get any friendlier than Southeast Asia, and it doesn't get any cheaper. And you really feel like you're a traveler and not a tourist. You really feel like you're seeing something. So I can't say enough good things about it. That's one tip. Another tip is, you don't necessarily have to book your hotels online. We did this trip because we didn't want to have to figure it out as we go. I'll tell you that when you're paying online, you're probably paying almost double what you would pay if you're walking in off the street. Maybe not quite that much, but we found hotel rooms over here for $20 and $25 when we were staying in $50 rooms. And the $25 rooms were perfectly acceptable. When we first brought our children over here in 2010, we did not book reservations except for the first night. We made up everything as we went along, and we walked in and found rooms for $20, $30 a night that were perfectly fine. So don't hesitate if you're feeling adventurous, don't hesitate to just kind of come over here and make it up as you go. That said, if you're have more peace of mind by booking in advance, go to agoda.com and watch for deals.
Christine Ingram wants to know if we went through a travel company or did it ourselves.
I went through a travel agent. Her name is Angela. It's my wife. She really rocks at this kind of stuff. And so Angela, for our group of 6, it was 3 couples, she booked everything, and we booked it virtually all online. The great thing about the hotels is you don't even really have to pay for them until you're getting ready to check in. So we were able to book our hotel rooms months in advance, and sometimes when she would find a better deal, she would cancel our old reservation and get the new reservation. So, but for the most part, I don't think you necessarily have to book it through a travel agency. If you're not comfortable, if this is your first time and it makes you feel safer to be included with a group, by all means do that. But I would also say another huge budget tip is the expense is in getting here, right? It's that $1,000 to get here that's your biggest expense. Once you're here, it's unbelievably affordable. So stay as long as you possibly can, right? In the case of us, we're finally empty nesters. So we're able to, my job, I can do it from anywhere. I work from a computer. So we're able to spend more time. Our friends have young children, so they weren't able to stay away as long. But that said, don't just come for 7 days. You'll lose 2 days on either side just in travel, right? Don't even just come for 10 days. You need to come for a few weeks, 2 weeks at least, I would say. And that's when you're really going to start maximizing your dollar. Any other questions, Ange? Tammy Perrin says, sending love. The season will be starting soon. I'm sure we will be seeing you. Absolutely, Tammy. We will be home soon. We'll be home in March, and I can't wait for a great high season. For anybody who's wondering why we're traveling, January and February are wonderful months at the beach, but they're also kind of our slower time of year in South Walton, so it's a great time and opportunity for us to get away. And then we'll be back in time for spring break and a fantastic summer season. All right, let's see.
Is it time to show him the water?
Trevor Hale says, why can't I quit you? It's because you love me, Trevor. Trevor is our friend in Hong Kong. I grew up with Trevor, and Trevor has been living in China for 15 or 20 years now. And all of our group just totally descended on Trevor and Michelle's house for the Chinese New Year celebration. To let you know kind of how Trevor does things, we don't just show up for Chinese New Year in Hong Kong at Trevor's house. He hired a dragon and tiger dancers to show up at a party at his house for us, and everybody was wearing traditional Chinese New Year garb, and it was just so much fun. And Trevor, Michelle, we appreciate you hosting us. Honestly, Hong Kong is an amazing city, and we're so proud to call you friends. So. And TJ, sorry. Okay, guys, Louis Petit is watching. Louis Petit just tuned in. Louis is the owner of Louis Restaurant in Santa Rosa Beach. If you haven't been there, check it out. Their sister restaurant, of course, you've probably heard of, called the Red Bar. Louis just got back home from our trip. He was with us here. And if you haven't seen the Pantawan Cooking School video, he makes a cameo appearance in that. We also went to an elephant sanctuary in Chiang Mai. Really incredible experience. You losing the shoulder? Angel's getting a workout holding the camera up, so we're going to let you guys go here in a second. All right, guys. Thank you so much for everything. We'll do our best to answer questions below later, and we might even go live again. In a second, Angel's going to show you what the beaches look like. But peace out, and we'll see you guys back on the Emerald Coast soon. And we may even come back live when we're up in northern Vietnam.
Hopefully you'll be able to see because of the glare. The sun is coming straight in.
Here, let me open the window.
Okay. Sorry. It's beautiful, that's for sure. Okay. Thanks, you guys.